I will first, to start the session, I will request the session chair, Syed Samar Hasnain, Executive Director, State Bank of Pakistan, to start with his few remarks.
थैंक यू जी. वो चेयर करते करते आदत इतनी हो जाती है स्टेज पे जाने की. अस्सलाम वालेकुम and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, it's an honor for me to be here and to chair this distinguished panel. In the first instance, I'm thankful to IBSC for organizing this event. This is the third physical meeting that we are having, and we are having it after 2018. So in the first instance, I would like to pardon from my colleagues in State Bank of Pakistan and from my colleagues in the banking industry that we have been hearing good praises about ourselves and about yourself in the opening session. So I'll be a bit different from that. I'll be a bit critical in some of the areas, and that is also one of my responsibilities over here. The subject of this workshop and this forum, the word especially, you see, the global prosperity is very close to my heart and to the heart of the central bank. I'll talk about the challenges, but that I would do towards the end of this session, when I'll give my concluding remarks and I'll highlight some of the challenges. But before that, I'll focus a bit more on strategic framework and the strategic plan that the State Bank have had, its third strategic plan 21-25. Number of steps have already been taken, and you must have seen this morning DG Seema Sahiba's presentation, and you would have seen that how did we move from point 1 to point A to point B in a period of 5 to 7 years. So there has been quite good developments in that. I'll not get into those because that would simply be a repetition of that. This strategic plan has been developed in consultation with number of stakeholders. And when I say number of stakeholders, and you name anyone here present in this hall, and I'm sure that he or she must have been consulted in one or the other way to develop this roadmap and the strategic plan. But before we can talk of third strategic plan, I think it's good to look at what has happened, what is the outcome of the second strategic plan. We did not talk about that this morning, but I think that's also one of our responsibility. So while most of the targets of the second strategic plan, which was 2014 and 18, that those targets have already been met. For example, in terms of deposits, if you look at, then the targets of 15% have been met. But there were certain things which were missed, and those are more important. In terms of the headline targets, asset target, which again was, you see, something like 15%, that was missed by a fraction. But more importantly, what was missed in that strategic plan is the second headline target, which is financing to the real priority sectors, that is agriculture and SMEs by Islamic banking. And those targets have been missed by huge margin. For example, against a target of 10%, GM Saab target in case of SME and agriculture was met to the extent of something like 1 by 2 to 3% against 10%, and the second one was even a fraction of that. That means that less than 1%. So that's first thing that we missed, and this is important because I'll try to link it with once I'll get to the conclusion and recommendation and challenges part. The third target that was missed was in terms of development of liquidity solutions for Islamic banking. When I say it was missed, I mean that it was missed when the timeline of that strategic plan was completed, which was in 2018. So we subsequently, you see, after almost a couple of years after that, we developed those liquidity solution, but the banking industry has been deprived of those liquidity solution for almost 2 years compared to when it was envisaged in the strategic plan. Now, I'll just, you see, focus a bit, and I'll take just 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll wait for the concluding parts once every panelist would, you see, deliver his or her speech. But I would like to tell you one important point about this development of third strategic plan. In the first instance, we should remember, and that's an offer from the central bank to everyone here in the panel and everyone sitting here, you see, in the forum, and those who could hear it on the social media and Facebook and wherever this is going live, that this strategic plan is a living document. Anything can be changed in that. Numbers, dates, additions, deletions can always be made to that. So please do feel free to send recommendations, and I think one of the good objective of this particular forum would be to have some concrete suggestions to make amendments and to change our own strategic roadmap, you see. So that would be one of the offer from our side. Now, when we talk of the third Islamic banking strategic plan, which is 21-25. So imagine that this is like a building which is standing on 6 walls. So treat this strategic plan as a hexagonal building. I'm not using the word floor, because that floor and the foundation have already been set by Dr. Ishrat Hussain in early 2000 when this Islamic banking was restarted. So there are the 6 walls on which this roadmap building is standing. And these 6 walls, again, I'll not get into those 6 walls, because you must have seen this morning when DG Seema Sahiba was showing it on presentation that there are 6 pillars, and there are the 6 key walls of this strategic plan. But what is more important is that in addition to those 6, and this is a 3-dimensional building, and those who are familiar with the physics principle, they probably would like this idea that this hexagonal building is standing on 6 walls, but then there are more dimensions to it. It's not just only 3 dimensions. A 4th dimension has been added, and then the 5th dimension has been added, and then the 6th dimension has been added to that. And what are those dimensions? For example, when we talk of the 4th dimension, it's the financial inclusion. And when I say the dimension, when we add a dimension, then the dimension not only interacts with the existing walls, but independently, but also interconnectedly. So that's very important. So overall, financial inclusion, how could this strategic roadmap may also be helpful in raising financial inclusion, because one of the CAP study that we have had, Irfan Sahab, you were showing, you see a part of that CAP study. The study shows that more than 80% or something like 75% people do want to do the Islamic banking. They like it. But if you look at the share of Islamic banking in Pakistan, it's around 20%. So where is that gap coming from? So again, that's a challenge. And so the financial inclusion, and that is also important because there are people in Pakistan who opted for financial exclusion from the financial sector because of faith sensitivity. So Islamic banking can play a role. So we see that as an additional dimension interacting with all these walls independently and interconnectedly. The second one is use of technology that has also been referred this morning. How can fintech and other technology be helpful in getting objective of this strategic plan? The sixth, so that was the 5th dimension. The 6th dimension is the usage of gender lens to this strategic roadmap. And this was also touched upon, you see, in a way this morning. But frankly speaking, if you look at strategic plan, we don't find anything concrete on using gender lens to enhance gender financial inclusion by using Islamic banking in Pakistan. So these 3 additional dimensions, these 3 additional dimensions are the core objective of the central banks. How does the central bank think about this strategic roadmap? finally, I'll stop here with this comment that while the State Bank remains fully committed to all sort of suggestions, proposals to promote Islamic banking, the question is, this morning, Irfan sir, probably you were showing that with a CAGR of something like 52%, you were saying something like that. Someone was showing here on the screen that, Irfan sir, that unless we achieve a compounded growth rate of 52%, we cannot achieve 30%. The question is not of 30%. Question is much more beyond that, you see. So how are we going to achieve that? So that's the first challenge that all of us should be thinking about. CAP results I've already mentioned. So I'll stop here. I've got, you see, 2 or 3 concrete challenges and way forward that I would like to put in front of the floor, but I would hold that till concluding session. With that, I'll stop here and again would like to thank you. Thank you very much.